Here's how to take back some of your Steam Deck storage. How's it going, everyone, and welcome to Deck Ready, the channel all about the Steam Deck. Yes, I am back here again with another weekly news video for you guys, and today we have some really good, useful tips that you can implement right away and super easily on your Steam Deck. All right, so a couple weeks back, we talked about how Valve has figured out a lot of their supply chain issues, and a lot of the people who were in Q4 were getting moved up, and even a lot of the people in Q3 were getting their Steam Decks a lot faster than they initially thought. It basically threw out that calculator everyone was using who was waiting for their Steam Deck pre-order completely out of whack, because that supply chain difference made a big difference in getting Steam Decks into people's hands. Both my cameraman Rich, my editor Royce, and my really good friend Craig, who all had late Q3 Steam Decks, got their Steam Decks bumped up by quite a bit, so they were able to get them quicker than they thought. So overall, it's a huge net positive, and people were kind of questioning at the time if we'd really even be able to tell the difference, like if we were in late Q3, if it would be in the middle of Q3, and it looks like Valve was actually able to make a pretty big impact in the overall shipments they were sending out, because they announced today, at the time I'm recording this video, that all of the Q3 orders have been fulfilled and that they're moving into Q4 over a week early, because Q4 technically starts at the beginning of October. So people are doing the math, and it really does seem like if you have a Steam Deck on pre-order, you'll probably get it by the end of the year, which is great because we have an autumn sale coming up around Thanksgiving. We also have the Halloween sale around Halloween, and of course, the ultimate sale we have to look forward to now that the summer sale is over is the big Steam holiday sale. So if all these people who pre-ordered their Steam Decks are going to get them before the holiday, Valve is going to sell quite a few games on Steam, I would guess. Because, you know, if you get a Steam Deck, you're going to want to buy a lot of games, because as we all know, us Steam Deck owners, the best game on the Steam Deck is installing a bunch of games on the Steam Deck, playing them for about 5 minutes to see how they run, writing it down on the Notes app on your phone, and then moving on to the next game. Now, I've had my Steam Deck since launch. I have long since moved on from that game, and I'm actually playing games on my Steam Deck. Right now, I'm running through Cult of the Lamb, and it is awesome. It has a little bit of frame drops here and there, but when you're in combat, it's really not noticeable, so that's good. They definitely fixed that issue where it would stutter every 10 seconds, which was so annoying to me. I was not even able to play the game for the longest time, but now I'm definitely happy to call it playable. Another game I'm running through right now is God of War. I had issues with this game back in July, and it turned out to be because I was on that weird beta that degraded performance in some games. The highest profile game that was getting talked about was, of course, Red Dead Redemption 2, but God of War was having the same issue for me, where it was having a lot of trouble holding 30 frames per second. So now I'm playing at original settings with FSR set to quality, and it looks so good. It's still running internally below 800p and upscaling it, but FSR 2.0 is just such a big improvement over the first FSR that, like, even as someone who has a gaming PC where I use DLSS mostly with pretty much every game I play, the difference between FSR 2.0 and DLSS is less noticeable. But regardless, getting back on track here, it's good that Valve is fulfilling more orders and faster than they initially thought. I know some people have issues with the way they took pre-orders on this thing, but like, I don't know, I really had no problem with it. It didn't really bug me to put down $5 to secure my spot in line, and I was really quick with it, and my Steam Deck came up within the first month of this thing being available. So as far as I'm concerned, like, Valve really did keep their word on the first come first serve basis of this, and seeing them improve the supply chain is good because it shows a commitment to this device and the Steam Deck brand as a whole. I mean, if you weren't convinced already from all the other updates we've had, and of course that huge booth they had at Tokyo Game Show. And yes, I saw the comments in the last video, all 5 million of them, where people were letting me know that the bow on top of the little Steam Pal keychain's head is not a bow, it's a valve. I could have guessed that. The picture I was looking at was low res. I don't really have a good excuse. I'm sorry, thanks for letting me know. We're gonna continue talking about Tokyo Game Show for a second. In my last video, I went down a list of 28 games that were playable at the show. A lot of people in the comments mentioned that they were Japanese-centric games, but really there were a lot of Western games on there as well. So I don't really think that explains why games like Control and Doom Eternal weren't there, because also I would just assume that Valve would want to have those games shown off in the East to get people interested in stuff like Doom Eternal, because, you know, it's like one of the best games ever. But regardless, the list of 28 games that they did bring was a pretty solid list, so go check out that video if you want to see some games that you should try out on your deck. But one thing that came out later, like after I posted my video, is that a lot of the Steam Decks at the Tokyo Game Show that Valve was showing off were sitting right there on the official Steam Deck dock, which has yet to be released. There are plenty of photos from the back, which is what you want to see, because you want to see all the cables that are connected to it, and also the charger, how it connects to the Steam Deck, and it looks really good. Of course, I'm using the JSOX dock. They did send one to me, but I also ordered one, and it came before the one they sent to me, so I gave the one they sent to me to my friend. I like that dock a lot. It's basically replaced my USB USBC hub that I was using before, because it works just as well with my gaming laptop that I have right here. So it's basically a hot swappable little dock for both my Steam Deck and my laptop. So it's like the best of both worlds. And it has pretty much the exact same ports as the Valve dock, but the thing that really makes the Valve dock look nice to me is the fact that it's matte black. Yes, you cannot see my desk set up here, but anything I can get in matte black, I tend to do so, like my keyboard, my mouse, my laptop, my headset stand, all of it. I like to have a uniform look, and the Steam Deck dock from JSOX is a nice brushed aluminum silver. So yeah, I would like to get my hands on one of these Valve docks because it looks really nice. Another thing about the Valve dock that I really like, other than the fact that the Steam Deck is very snugly sitting in it in the picture, is the fact that it doesn't cover up the little vent on the back. That is the one issue with the JSOX dock. It covers up a little bit of the vent on the back, which I know bothers some people. I've been using my Steam Deck as a desktop all week because I've been trying to figure out how to get Metroid Prime to run right, and it just works better on a desktop setup, and I like Linux more than Windows at this point. I haven't noticed any performance degradation at all, but I'm also not doing anything super intensive, like not even intensive enough to really kick up the fan, so I can't really tell you if having a little bit of that grill covered is really doing anything. But with this Valve dock, you're not even going to have to worry about it in the first place because it's not covering up the vent. There is a new small controversy with this dock though, and it comes down to ports. So if you look at the back of the thing, you've got the 3 USB 3.0 slots, the gigabit Ethernet port, the HDMI port, the DisplayPort port, and then of course the USB-C port that's for the charger to give the Steam Deck power. It's got a nice little pass-through, which gives the Steam Deck enough power so it won't lose charge while it's on the dock. Overall, a nice design. A lot of people though are complaining that they would like more USB-C ports on the dock. A few people are complaining though that they would like more USB-C ports on the dock, mainly for display options, because as you can see, you have HDMI and DisplayPort, and unless you go out of your way to find a loose or braided HDMI cable or DisplayPort cable, they're a little unwieldy. You know, they like to stay wrapped in a big circle, and people like generally smaller, thinner cables. And you can use a USB-C port for DisplayPort because that's what I'm using on my laptop right here. I have a DisplayPort cable that goes to USB-C and it works just fine for display. And the reason I switched over to DisplayPort from HDMI was because the DisplayPort on this monitor is better than the HDMI port and allows my monitor to take advantage of its higher refresh rate modes, which HDMI only allows me to do 60 Hertz and 74 Hertz, which is kind of a weird number shake up there. Yeah, that was why I was using it, but I play most games at 60 FPS anyway, and I wanted that one cable solution, so I switched it over to use HDMI so I can just plug the dock in, and it's great. At first I was like, I don't know, they covered their bases here on this thing. They've got the DisplayPort, they've got the HDMI, they've got the 3 USB ports and the power pass through with the USB-C, but really, I think I would like a USB-C port on this dock, even if they have to replace one of the USB 3 ports with that. I doubt they would do something like that this late in the game. It seems like this thing is ready to go, and they're probably just building up the supply so they don't have to do a pre-order system like they did with the Steam Deck itself. I just would like to see it because I would like to move to USB-C as fast as possible. But for right now, all of the peripherals at my desk use that USB-A type port, so I'm not really too upset about it. It would just be nice to see at least one more USB-C port, but you can let me know what you think down in the comments below. It's not like the competition has an extra USB-C port and Valve doesn't. You know, the only thing they really have to worry about is that M2 slot that JSOX has put in their new dock, but I still think that's more of a niche device sort of situation. And the last news story I have for you guys today is one I'm extremely excited about. So the biggest software issue I have had with the Steam Deck from the very beginning is this whole shader cache thing. So basically the way I understand it is that Valve is able to store shaders in the cloud. So when you play a game on Steam or on your Steam Deck or whatever, you automatically have your shaders uploaded to the cloud, and then when you download that game later, the game downloads those shaders, and that eliminates stuttering and all of the issues that come along with shader compilation here in 2022. The issue is the Steam Deck downloads those automatically and for pretty much every game on your device, which is why you'll see when you turn your Steam Deck on once in a while, a bunch of downloads for a bunch of games that you're not even playing at the time. And at first it doesn't seem like much, but really when you go look at the storage breakdown, those shaders can take up quite a bit of room on your Steam Deck. And as far as I can tell, there's no real dead simple way to delete those shaders and regain that space that's being taken up, which can be important because the Steam Deck only ships with a maximum of 512 gigabytes. And you will quickly realize, even if you have that top tier Steam Deck, that you need a big micro SD card almost right away. Like I have a 1 terabyte SSD in my Steam Deck and a 1 terabyte micro SD, and I'm even having to delete stuff once in a while because of mainly just having a lot of games and having all these shaders on my Steam Deck. So that's where the Twitter user @YourWaifu, which honestly seems like kind of a hard @ to get, and also their name is Mia Crystal Pepsi. They have created a tool called Deck Cleaner, and it's already been updated since I found it this morning to 1.1, and it's just a quick, dead simple tool that clears out the shader cache on your Steam Deck. The 1.1 update, in case you were wondering, updated the dialog box to show the size of the shader cache folder, and to install it, it's pretty simple. All you do is open the terminal in the same directory as the script and run the following command: chmod space 755 space period / deck cleaner 1.1.sh, and then you can right click on the script and add it to your Steam library. So after you install it in desktop mode and add it to your Steam library, it should be accessible in game mode, and then all you have to do is run it once in a while and it'll clear out the shader cache on your Steam Deck, which is great. Obviously, the next time you turn on your Steam Deck, it's going to keep trying to download all of these shaders, but if you needed some of that space back to download a couple of new games, you could run this script, download the games you want, and then the Steam Deck will use the extra space that was being taken up before that's left over now for downloading shaders. So you'll get some of that space back, be able to use it, and then the Steam Deck will have less space for shaders in the future. Seeing how easy it is to use this script, I'm honestly kind of shocked that it's taken this long to get this as a native feature within Steam. I'm sure it's just like on the lower end of the list compared to all the other stuff they want to work on with the Steam Deck, but I don't know, maybe Valve could give your waifu a job. They could bring her in, she could get this added into Steam as a release, and then I'd have to make a video where I say your waifu just fixed the biggest issue on the Steam Deck, which is kind of like the best sentence ever. So shout out to Mia Pepsi. This is a super useful tool. I'm going to install it on my Steam Deck right after this video to get some B-roll, and I think it should be pretty simple, so I'm excited about it.